You are listening to Bridging the Gap, the podcast where we'll talk about businesses going global with the help of localization.
Stay tuned to meet the marketing, product, and software experts that make brands international and learn strategies to speak your customer's language.
Hey Honza, how are you doing?
Hey Marta, I'm great. Yeah, I'm feeling good. How are you?
I'm very happy because we're planning our hackathon right now. I don't know if any other companies listening or people listening here that work in software know that what a hackathon is, but we are very excited.
Yeah, it's finally an opportunity to meet all of these team members that we haven't seen for a while. I think it's a great opportunity for a remote company to get together.
Right? Because when I talk to people about how we do it at Localizy, like we are 100% remote, and that is crazy sometimes. Like people are like, oh, that's a great arrangement, but in a sense, it's kind of difficult sometimes. I need to see you guys because some of the better ideas just come with a beer at hand or just talking and relaxing. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, of course. Like we don't do it like a classic hackathon per se, as you may know it from, tech companies. But we try to mix things up a little bit. So we do partially hackathon, trying to come up with new solutions or identify problems, talk about strategy, things like that. But also we do it as a team building to actually meet and have fun together.
Yeah, and I guess that in this kind of company with like around 20 people, it's the best arrangement because I see so many team buildings that are like comprised of hundreds of people, and it makes me a little bit nervous. I don't know if in the future when you grow, you're gonna have to change the format because it's not sustainable anymore. Just to have this kind of you have to work in smaller groups, I guess, because socially it doesn't work. Uh, I don't know if you know someone in that kind of company because it seems unfeasible for me.
Yeah, what people usually do, and in my past experience, I've been also like part of larger companies, and what's usually happening is that they do like all hands at 1 day event, and then they create like separate events for those teams to actually
Right.
get together individually.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What I like the most about my first hackathon with you guys is that we just mixed the functions. So I'm a marketing person. I don't know a lot about development. I'm trying to learn and trying to ask questions, but sometimes it's hard to grasp some concepts and seeing you guys in action and like forming different groups where there's one developer, one person for marketing, one person for sales. It was like very interesting and eye-opening for me because I could actually see how you guys work. And in my case, I was wasting a lot of time doing
Yeah.
manual tasks. And you
Yeah.
also discovered that.
Yeah, that's actually where the biggest power lies is creating like cross-functional teams with different perspectives. And when people like this get together, you'll get always the best solution to things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're
And well,
still, yeah, we're still really like tech focused company, so it might be hard for the non-technical people to actually get around. But yeah, these types of events actually help to get the concept of how we work and how can we create better solutions together.
I completely agree. And there is also something that I like that in the end, when you are too focused or too obsessed with finding a solution, you sometimes just hit a wall. And in these kinds of events, if you just decompress with your colleagues, at some point something brilliant comes up. It's just a matter of just relaxing and letting like the thoughts flow. And I think that's very good. Like sometimes we are just so fixed on like going to seminaries or webinars or just attending conferences and like talking to the right people. And sometimes you just need to decompress to just find that solution you've been searching for so long.
Yeah, often these are, as we call them, unknown unknowns. So there are some problems you don't even know about, and they will pop up during the conversation.
That is absolutely true. Yeah, like minor things you didn't even know about. Like
Yeah.
I didn't know how to automate my task.
Yeah, so it's actually really hard to plan for that, and that's why these events are brilliant.
Okay, so today we are going to talk about kind of my expertise. I'm sorry, Honza. We are going to talk about content. So I'm very happy to welcome one person from a team that has been a partner for a long time with Localazy. We've been having the Storyblok integration for some time here. And we're going to talk about basically how content can drive global growth. We just assume that all the pieces of content in the internet are going to be understood if they're in English, but that's not true anymore. So I just want to say hi to our guest today, Alex Kopp from Storyblok. How are you doing, Alex? Welcome.
Yeah, I'm doing great. So nice to be here with you guys. Happy to talk with you about globalization and localization with content, and it's a big topic also for us. And I will really enjoy the talk with you guys.
Can you tell us what you do at Storyblok and what actually Storyblok does?
Sure. So from my perspective, Storyblok is one of the leading headless CMS solutions. What means we're not focused on just one channel, one head as a CMS, but we are focused on delivering the content you can store within your CMS as Storyblok to any channel you want. So it's based on APIs, and that's what we are doing. So we are focused on the CMS product. And yeah, for sure, my role with Storyblok is senior solution engineer. So I'm working in the pre-sales, meaning that when somebody is deciding, oh, we want to have a new CMS solution, they can talk to us, to me and my team, to really evaluate if there's the right fit, if we can solve the problems they have maybe currently. So this is something we will do. I show the product, I talk with partners, I go to our prospects, to our customers to really clarify what we can do for them. And yeah, that's mainly what I'm doing at Storyblok at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Are you remote?
Oh yeah. So Storyblok is a fully remote company. That's one of the benefits I was keen to have when I searched for a new role. And yeah, so we are fully remote, meaning that we have our home office equipment sponsored by the company. We have weekly events, remote events to really engage with our peers, to really have conversations with them. And yeah, I really like that setup because I'm father of 4 kids, and so I have a good amount of time being with my family, but also having the chance to do what I love for work from home.
Awesome. So let's talk about content here for a while. That's why we're here basically today. We know that many companies start in English as their primary language, and yeah, it's natural because as we believe the English is like a universal language most people speak and it's easy to learn. And it became a norm in many markets. But at the same time, statistics show that people actually prefer to consume content in their native languages. And according to some stats, it's almost 4 out of 10 prospects who won't complete a purchase if it's not in their preferred language, which is a lot, in my opinion. So in conclusion, to go global, you actually have to sound local for the customers to understand the message and build the trust between them. Has also been shown by many global companies, like, for example, Reddit, who recently uncovered their reports where they started translating their content automatically via some LLMs. And this actually brought them almost 50% growth year over year in their international markets, so which is a huge thing. And I think in the future, more companies will start going this direction. So what do you have to say in Storyblok about multilingual content, and how do you manage it in Storyblok?
Yeah, that's a great question because it's something we are facing day by day. So customers, organizations coming to us and talk about their project, and mostly it's not just one country they want to serve or just one market they want to serve their content to. Sometimes it's just 2, 3, 4. Maybe we have also customers with 60 different markets. And so, yeah, meet the customers with the the local sound, with the local language is quite important for the organizations to really hit the nerve of the customers, to really engage with them directly. So English is great because English is, as you said, the most common language which the people are acknowledge, can talk, can understand. But when you want to be emotional, selling in an emotional way, you really have to go a layer deeper into the mind of the people and really talk to them in their native language. And we are ready with our solution to do that. So Storyblok as a headless CMS is really equipped with unlimited locales, so you can establish as many languages as you want, and that's something our customers are really enjoying because it's scalable. You can start out with your English language and then build up your markets as you need to build them.
So when the new customers come to you, you say they mostly start with English or a couple basic translations. What are the challenges they are facing at the beginning? I can imagine that there could be different challenges at scale, but what are the challenges or the problems they come to you
So yeah,
with?
good question. That it depends. So it depends from organization to organization. Some organizations are quite experienced with localization already, so they already doing global websites, having branches in different countries, so they know how they want to do the localization thing, and we just have to consult them how that is possible with our solution. But in general talk, we can think about, or we have to educate them sometimes how they can structure the localization with our solution. That means how they want to have the content creation process. So first content creation, then localization, all the way around. So this is something the organizations have to think about it when it comes to localization, because the content creation flow really depends on what steps you want to achieve and how you want to achieve it. How is your team structure? So there's many points you have to acknowledge to really have an optimal content creation process with localization. This is just one point. And the other thing is how they want to localize. So is it a manual process? So you have, for example, in-team localization, so the people working for you are localizing the content by themselves? Or are they using, for example, AI to translate that? Do they have already a solution for translation? Do they need a translation service? So there are many topics to cover. And we are happy with Storyblok because we have so many good partners to really cover that topic in a good way, in a flexible way for our customers. And yeah, this is mainly what we have to talk about when it comes to localization.
There is a piece here that is internationalization, and some people actually, when they start doing localization and translating their content, they actually don't know the difference. And sometimes they forget that developers are like a crucial part of the process. I don't know if you guys experienced this, because Localazy was actually founded because developers were in our mind, and I don't know if you guys have this experience of having a team approaching you, like a manager or a marketing team, talking about making their content multilingual, and they actually haven't asked their developers first what they actually need to make it easier for them. Do you have any tips for this?
Yeah, so what I tell my prospects or our customers right in the beginning, involve the whole team if you have a project like you want to introduce a new CMS, because it's quite important right from the beginning, from the content modeling, from setting up the locales for the localized content, just to involve the whole team. And for this, you also have to talk to your developers, because the developers have to work with them, have to use all the functionality, for example, Storyblok provide to do this localization thing. But if they are not on board with you, if they don't know how you perceive, how you want to do the localization, it creates problems, it creates issues. Maybe not in the beginning, but when you want to scale your content, maybe to new markets, it could be difficult to have these issues you created in the beginning because you don't thought about it, and then you have it when you're already working with the solution. So keep that in mind, that you also talk to your marketers how they want to work, how they can translate, how they imagine to translate localized content, and also think about the the possible issues about how you want to implement your localization inside the system. So yeah, good point to really talk to your team, talk to the developers, that they are also happy with your approach and also support your approach you want to take. Yeah.
Is there like any good practice you would recommend?
So a good practice, we are quite flexible when it comes to localization and how you can establish localization within our system. So it depends really on what the customer wants to achieve. For example, we are facing mostly two kinds of localization for content. One is the one-to-one localization, so you have your master content maybe in English, and you want to translate this one-to-one into another language. So this is one thing we are having with our customers, just to do the translation thing. For this, for example, you can use the AI and go with this translation. We have other customers, they want to really personalize the content for different kind of markets. That meaning that you don't want to go with the one-to-one translation, but you have your English content, and for example, for the Spanish market, you want to adjust it. You want to use other terms, you want to use other structure, because the people are different there, and you can't do one-to-one translation for every market and think about, oh yeah, that's cool because it works in England or in the UK, it also works in Spain. That's not the case.
What kind of solution Storyblok offers to navigate this problem? How do you solve this in Storyblok directly?
Yeah, so as I already said, so we are flexible with Storyblok, and mainly we have two different approaches to do that, to do localization. One is the field level localization. I will explain what it means, and the other thing is the folder level localization. Let's start with the field level localization, because field level localization means that you have in Storyblok one piece of content. Maybe you have a homepage, and you have this homepage in Storyblok assembled with components all together. The content is in, and then you want to translate, then you want to localize. Maybe you want to do it in German, in Spanish, and in Italian. So you can go into the settings in Storyblok and set up, okay, I have already my default language, what is English, then I have German, Italian, and Spanish, and add these locales within the settings of the system. That means the system now have not just one default language, but you are able to also enter translation for the languages you have added, so German, Italian, and Spanish, meaning that you can pick in the UI which language you want to work with, and all the languages are bound to one content entry. So you have all the localizations within one content entry, in one story, as we say with Storyblok. And that means that you can quite easily translate content one-to-one. So you have your English content, and then you translate it with AI or with another translation service into German, Spanish, into Italian. You can also, with field level localization, differentiate the text, the content you want to present for the different languages. But what you can't do with that is really shape different experience for different markets. So the structure of the site, when we talk about the homepage, for example, you go with a hero banner, then text, then a grid section, for every country, for every market, it's the same. It's a limitation, but sometimes it doesn't matter for the customers. Now, if you want to go crazy, if you want to really have different experiences for your customers, for your different markets, then you can go with our folder level localization. What is the approach? You can establish in one space. So one space in Storyblok is like a content repository. And within this repository, you can establish subfolders, sub-repositories. For example, different markets. So for the English or UK market, for the German market, Italian market, Spanish market. And within these folders, you can create totally different experience, totally different localizations for every market. Meaning that you can also use different structures. So you are not forced to go with hero, text, and grid. You can go with text, hero, and maybe a product section. And that's something you can decide, and you have to decide right at the beginning of your project to really see, okay, what are my options, what I want to achieve, how I want to present my content, my products, my website to the audience in the different markets. And so there are mainly these two approaches, but you can also go with a mixed approach. So if you have the folder level localization, so you have your folders for every market, and for example, for Belgium or for Switzerland, where you have different languages in one country, you can also use folder level, and in addition, you can establish some kind of locales. So you can also translate inside the folders on the field level. So you can have, for example, in Switzerland, have the German language, the French language, and the Italian language in one folder, as you need that to be really, really on the point with every customer there.
Yeah, I understand it like a sort of a compromise between flexibility and a structure, and the best solution is always somewhere in the middle. So I can imagine that the mixed approach might work for some. But do you have any, let's say, strategy or rules to determine which approach is best for a client or for the type of content?
Yeah. It's quite easy. So our question there is how you want to differentiate your content on the different markets. If there's no difference, if there's just another languages, just another wording for the different markets, we go first with the field level translation or localization. If they really think about, okay, yeah, but the US market is completely different than the Japanese market, so the site structure is completely different, it doesn't work for both with the same structure, then we would recommend the folder level localization. Mostly the big enterprise customers we have are using the mixed approach because they want to go directly into that detail. They want to have every language covered for every customer segment. So they are using the mixed approach. But as I said, if there's same page for every market, field level is there, are there different pages for different markets, completely different structures, we go with the folder level localization, and the mixed approach is something if you really want to be personalized, for example, for Switzerland with the different languages there.
Right. I imagine that when a company that is smaller in the beginning starts thinking of expanding into Europe and then suddenly they see that they have like a big market in Japan, it could be very, very useful to have a mixed approach, I guess, because maybe they have a similar structure for Europe, but then Japan is just another game completely.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I was wondering, Alex, if you have if any clients, any case studies come to mind that you could tell us a little bit about how did they do it? How did they use these approaches to localize their content?
Yeah, sure. Two use cases come to my mind when we talk about localization. So first, we can talk a bit about the Oatly case we have. So Oatly, the alternative milk brand we serve the content for, is a customer using our field level localization. That meaning they have the content on their website and the content is quite the same structure for every market they have. And so they are using the field level localization approach to really build up the experience for the markets quite fast and bring them to the markets in a very easy way. So create one story, one homepage, one landing page, and spread it to every market just with the localization. That's one case. The other case is another big customer of us is Education First. So they are using also our system, but they have established a very, very large setup of folders for about 60 languages and more than 9,000 pages. So in that case, we have another tooling called Dimension app, what you can use when you really want to distribute content within these folder structures. And they are using that kind of setup to really provide different offering to different markets. So they have, for example, different education offering for the European market as they have it for the APAC market. So they are using these kind of folder level approach to really structure different content for different offerings from different markets. Yeah. So this is something we can share. And if you are curious about these two, we have also the case studies of both customers on our website. I can recommend to have a look at this.
60 languages is a lot, and as you described the process, I saw that there are multiple languages and the content varies a lot. I can imagine that is a lot of manual work. How do they do it themselves? Do they have in-house people for it, or is there anything that helps them manage this sort of work at scale?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, Storyblok, and when it comes to the folder level localization, we give our customers quite a good tooling for that called the Dimension app. The Dimension app is something you can use to really work, for example, on your master content. So you have a landing page and you want to go with that landing page globally. So you set it up in one language, in one folder in that case. And then you can decide within the UI which markets should have this landing page available within their folder. So you go into the UI, into the visual editor, and there you have a little drop down where you can click this market, this market, this market, and then with 3 markets you have to do 3 clicks, and you have the content already there. Yeah, so meaning that you can use your master content as a blueprint for the other markets. Also meaning that you have the same structure in the beginning for every market, but when you want to change the structure, do a bit of styling, maybe you want to drop more hero banners or more components into that landing page for different markets, you can do it with these kind of folder structure and with the Dimension app. The Dimension app is just copying it from a master to different folders, and then yeah, sure, you can have it on a manual base, but a lot of customers are doing it, for example, an integration for translation service, so meaning that if you copy one story, one piece of content from one folder into another, you can automatically localize the content you have in the master to the target language. It could be a lot of manual work, but we help the customers with functionality, in that case the Dimension app, to really give them a starting point for every market. And yeah, also with all our partners, with all our integration we can offer, there's also a lot of room for improved workflows when it comes to automated translation localization with a translation service, for example.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering what is the current state of automation for you guys, because sometimes we get clients come to us asking for specific tools, and maybe they don't really have the education yet to use them, or they don't really know what they can do for them, because all the automated workflows are kind of new, AI is kind of new, and they want the benefits, but sometimes it's hard to pinpoint what are the specific needs,
Absolutely. So it really depends on the state of the organization we're talking to. Sometimes we have customers coming or prospects coming to us, and they doing the localization process manually, meaning they work with the master language, then they export. For example, we have also an app in our marketplace for the manual export of XML files. So you can do your content, then export it as an XML file, send it via email to your translation agency, waiting for the translation, re-import via XML into the system. So it's quite generous workflow to do that. But for some of our prospects, it's the reality. And I would say it's not so untypical that organizations working like that. And that's good for us because we can talk about that. We can show them the new shiny and bright world of automated translation, for example. So really have this flexibility that you can do your master content and go into, for example, Localazy, have the translation there and put it back into Storyblok with just a few clicks. So you don't need to do anything manually, but you can do it in a very, very easy way, in a very automated way. And yeah, you talked also about AI. So I'm mainly working for the DACH market here at Storyblok. And I don't know, my perception is that customers at the DACH market are very critical about how they can use this AI features. Are they able to use AI for their organization? So it's a bit of a new thing for them, for a lot of them. So also there is room for education and showing them how easy it could be how beneficial it for the organization could be to use automated workflows driven by AI to really be more efficient with their content creation process.
From my experience, I am always surprised at the varying level of automations different companies come up to us with. So, for example, there's a lot of companies, as you said, like describing the manual process. They export some files or Excel files. Usually, they send it over emails. They send back the changes, etc. They understand that this is not optimal, and this is like the one side of the spectrum. And then there are companies that are really automated and they want to be at the very cutting edge technology and they want to have everything in one click. And between these two sides of the spectrum, there's a whole bunch of companies at different levels. And it's really hard to actually design a solution for them because they're at very different stages of their automation maturity, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly as you said. It depends from organization to organization. Sometimes we have organizations where from the surface it looks like a very modern organization, very well structured, automated, and then you come to talk to the team and then, oh, okay, manual processes everywhere. And yeah, it's like it is. But it's a good thing. We can help them if they want to. And also, I told you about the manual process and the app we have for export-import. It's also a good thing for us to have that because we can say, okay, if you don't want to change now, you can proceed with your process like it is. So having this manual process in place, thinking about maybe a better process in the future, we got you covered right from the beginning also with your manual process. But yeah, as you said, there's a lot of differences within the organizations we're talking to.
Mm-hmm. We mentioned this a bit in the intro with Marta, that often the problem comes with the silos happening at companies. Non-technical people, they have always good intentions, but don't know how to execute stuff. So the best results and solutions come with cross-functional teams. If you connect a marketer with a developer, magic will happen.
Sometimes it's right, yeah.
Yeah, so this is our approach at Localizy, that we should be cross-functional to prevent these sort of things that slow us down at the very end.
But I imagine that sometimes it's quite difficult when you have a bigger team and a global team in different countries because like you have to convince other people and other stakeholders, tell them that this is important for them when they have other big problems, So marketing people are always obsessed about how we can prepare new content, new actions, and people see us as the money eaters, I guess. And then there are the developers who just want to optimize everything and make it efficient. And sometimes it's difficult to just find a common point. But I feel that with content, when you kind of find that sweet spot, it's easier for everyone to understand that localization is important because it has an impact in everyone in the team. And I was wondering if you have experienced this, how can you create this trust to create like kind of a localization culture? We've talked about that many times. And sometimes the whole team is not convinced that localization is going to be good for them or expanding, or this is going to be so much work, or this is going to be like a hassle for developers, or I don't know if you have experienced that kind of thing, that you find a company where the culture is not really homogeneous in that point and you have to offer them tools.
Yeah, sometimes it's kind of a change management you have also to do with these organizations when it comes to, okay, now we're scaling our business and we go global, not just Germany, for example. Now we go to whole Europe and then we go to Asia and so on. So it's change management and you have to convince the team about that and also about the benefits. And then came questions of, but we don't have native speakers of this language and that language. So yeah, it could be true, but for that you have solutions and you can connect this solution to your content platform you are using to really have an easy to use process. Also for the developers, that they have implement these solutions for the marketing teams and convince the marketing teams that scaling the business is generally a good thing. And also being flexible with localization is a good thing. As we already talked about, there are different approaches customers can take. But convincing the team, establish the change management, answer the right questions regarding the team, and also give the team the possibility to work together on these kind of projects. This is something we also focus on Storyblok, not only for the developers to deliver them top-notch technology they can work with, but also for the marketeers. They work day by day with the solution, with the content management solution, with the translation services, and they need to have an easy and approachable solution to do that. And for my understanding, this is something really help to convince them, showing them how easy it is, how they can collaborate together. So for example, we have a bunch of collaboration tools implemented into our solution. If there's a Japanese team and there's, for example, a UK team, they can work together in the CMS, drop comments on fields and having conversations about that. How is the best approach for this market? Or we do it like this for our market, so that we can really have these solutions for the whole team, involve the whole team to work together on this, because yeah, as I said in the beginning, it's a kind of change sometimes, and this should be managed by the organization. We as a solution for content can support them, we can consult them, we can point them into direction how other customers are using our solution when it comes to global cases. But yeah, in the end, we just have the possibility to consult. The change management or the implementation is something we can support, but it's on the side of the organization.
Yeah, as with everything, it's always hardest to start. The entry barrier with localization is sort of high for some people, especially if you have some legacy systems or if you've been relying on the manual processes. It's good that you can provide solutions that allow companies to actually lower their entry barrier when starting with localization. I was just wondering, you were talking about collaboration and implementation. Are there any sort of metrics or measures that you recommend companies implement in order to help them evaluate the success of the efforts they're making with their content?
Yeah, what we're talking quite often about is time to market, and when it comes to global cases, the time to market to really roll out content globally. So I can again recommend to have a look on our case studies, because for this we already talked about, there are also KPIs involved. So time to market is very important for them, especially when we have to compare a previous process, maybe a manual process, to a new established process using automated workflows for translation functionality. And what we see and what our customers are facing are enormous improvements when it comes to that KPI. They can push out campaigns, landing pages, whatever they want to drop out, that they are really faster with that and really can achieve more in less time. And this is something our customers are really happy with, and it's also quite convincing when they see that they can achieve more, getting things done faster with less effort. Yeah, so this is something we often see, that the time to market is improved, and also the collaboration between different teams. It also depends how the organization structure these global rollouts of content. Maybe sometimes there's just one team, one central team manage all the countries, and sometimes there's a decentral organization with teams in every country. And also it's important that everybody can talk to everybody can reach everybody in minutes to really align on the approach they want to take with their content. So, and yeah, with Storyblok and with our partners, we are really hitting the right nerves, hitting the right buttons, and convincing them to test out new approaches when it comes to localization and globalization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, time to market is a great proxy to actually see how things are moving forward. I would say the ultimate metric everyone wants to know is the return on the investment, but you need to wait for that to actually measure this sort of metrics. So time to market could be a great proxy, and you can continue with more proxies on top of that, like engagement, conversion rates, etc.
What I see every day in the content area is that things are changing so quickly, and it's not only a matter of AI, it's also the SEO strategies, the way people and companies reach the audiences. For example, now you can just preach to the void. You have to have organic, personable content to reach them, their social media. So I don't know if you guys have any big picture idea of how the future is going to be for content, in your opinion, especially for multilingual content.
I would say it's really complicated because on one side there are companies and tools like Storyblok Localazy that help people automate processes, produce content faster, as Alex said, reach faster, time to market. That will produce even more content. And on the other side, there's the content genuinity, originality, where people are looking for content written by people. And if you automate everything in the process, we will just create less value. So I think we need to somehow find a balance between the automation part and the actual valuable stuff we write about. Like big companies like Google are also big players in this area, because if they, for example, penalize content that is like obviously generated by AI, people will start to focus on more valuable writing.
I agree.
But let's see, it's not in our hands.
Yeah.
What do you think, Alex, about this?
Yeah, my 2 cents on that is so first, Storyblok is a headless CMS system, so we are just not focused on the web. We can serve content to any endpoint organization want to have their content to, for example, IoT or watches or whatever. So this is quite nice because this enables the organizations to maybe focus first on the web page, but if you want to have your content anywhere, it's possible with a headless CMS. And this is something very cool and also quite convincing for a lot of organizations to have that in mind, even if they want to go first with the web pages. But as already mentioned by Jan, it's like the quality of the content, and it's as a human being, you can notice if something is written by AI or written by a human being. I work in pre-sales, and in sales pre-sales we say human buy from human. And that's also something I experience when I, for example, browse through YouTube or Google and looking for content I want to consume. And then I see a flashy headline and I click on it, and it's just an AI created content. It's quite annoying to listen to that, to get that, because it's just the surface and not really interested in the end. So the quality of the content is important. Content is still king, and if you have good content, if you have a good localization of your content, you are good equipped for the future. And if you in addition have an omni-channel system for your content, like a headless CMS, you're good to go. There are so many possibilities you can work out with this foundation. If you have good localization, good content structure, you can go from there and add new or additional solutions. Okay, now it's this social media you want to have your content in. Okay, no problem, just connect it. And so being ready for the change, because within the IT space, within the marketing or the digital marketing driven IT space, it moves quite fast. So be ready for the next change, and yeah, as an organization, invest in the right tools to be ready for this. And customers are really enjoying the flexibility of, for example, a headless CMS when it comes to, okay, this channel or that channel, we want to have the content in. So this is something we really consult also or educate our customers. First the web, and then let's see how it went and what the future will bring.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we share the same view here with Alex. Just to sum it up, I would say like automate the process, but focus on quality, and that will sum it up nicely.
Yeah, you guys just hit the nail on the head. It's a mix of having quality content with an ability to use it efficiently and repurpose it, because repurposing is going to be huge. If you want quality content, like, we are not machines. We have to create great content made by humans, but at the same time, you need the tools to make it reach the audience. So thank you so much, guys. I think it's been a very interesting conversation. Thank you, Alex, for being here with us today, and I encourage the audience to check out the Storyblok and the tools they have. And see you in the next episode of Bridging the Gap. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
If you like this episode, please follow our channel and add it to your favorites so you don't miss the next conversation. You can also follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube for updates and bonus content. Until next time, stay curious.